Well, hey, y'all. What's up, everybody? It's the Cryptid Huntress. We're going on the hunt tonight. I hope you guys are ready. We have a fantastic show for you guys tonight. We have my good friend, Mr. Brian Minnick, in the studio tonight. We're going to be talking about something that is so strange. It's Montauk Strange, actually. And we're going to be really diving deep tonight into the Plum Island lab. And I brought my resident expert here tonight to talk about this. And Brian and I have actually spent some time I'm going to say in the field together up at Montauk last year. He and I, Long Island Bigfoot, Dark Hour Paranormal, Michael Roser, and all of the wonderful crew from the Full Disclosure Now movement, including a lot of people from the who were Montauk survivors of the Montauk Project up there. Our buddies Arkeem Rob, Brian Sang, even James Rink, and a bunch of other people. We had a really good time up there, and even went bigfooting at Camp Hero. And so tonight we are actually going to be diving into parts of Camp Hero, actually underground facilities where they have labs. But in particular, we're actually going to be going over to Plum Island tonight. And so y'all buckle up, man. This is going to be one wild rabbit hole that we're going down tonight. And I'm glad you guys are here to join me. And yes, I am fresh off of a Christmas parade. We had a Christmas parade that passed by the house today. And I thought, well, man, if you can't beat them, join them. I wasn't in the parade, by the way. There were a lot of bands, a lot of horns blowing. And we just decided to go out and party with them today and have a good time. My son and I went out there. No candy. I don't know what's going on with these parades these days. Where's the candy, y'all? But anyways, it was a good time. Got us all into the Christmas spirit, and I hope you guys are enjoying your holiday season as well. All right. Well, if you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows and go check out my archives, please go to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find my calendar of events and everything over there. And I do have a shop there, and I want to give a huge shout out to Boo the Beagle. He just bought something out of my shop tonight. That's so sweet of you. I appreciate you, Boo the Beagle. And yeah, I do have part of my shop there on my website. You go to the shop link. And then I have my other shop. It's called War Woman Goods. If you guys would like to do some shopping with my company here, War Woman Goods, for your Christmas gifts, I would really appreciate it. You guys are the best. Also, I have a Patreon if you guys want to support my work. The Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. All right, so I think that's all the business. Also, let's see, I do have this flyer for the event that I'm going to be at next month, the East Alabama Bigfoot Town Hall. Y'all know the drill. I'm going to be there. Great lineup of speakers. All those events are actually down here on my ticker. You can catch it as Brian and I are talking tonight. I don't want to waste any more time because we do have Brian Minnick here of Montauk Is Strange. He just put out a brand new book. And if you guys have not checked it out yet, please do. We'll talk about it as soon as I bring him up tonight. Okay, so tonight we are talking about mutants, monsters, and hybrid experiments from the government's secret Plum Island germ laboratory with Brian Minnick of Montauk Is Strange. Brian is a longtime Camp Hero researcher, having visited the base since his childhood, and he started exploring in a serious fashion in 1994. He's been involved in this research ever since. He's been on several TV shows on Montauk, including the History Channel, Travel Channel, Science Channel, the CW, and has met and spoke with the authors of the original book series on several occasions. Now he shares all of his research and findings on his YouTube channel, Montauk Is Strange, along with Danielle, another longtime Camp Hero explorer with a lot more to share. They cover virtually the entire base at Camp Hero and go back often for developments on the ancient lands of Montauk that contain Camp Hero. They also collaborate with other channels and other friends, other researchers, including myself. I was over there last year. Please help me welcome to the show my resident, hands down, biggest expert on Montauk Camp Hero. And by the way, the Montauk Project is what the TV series on Netflix, Stranger Things, is based off of, just in case y'all didn't know. Yeah, it's wild. Please help me welcome to the show our good friend, Brian from Montauk Is Strange.
Thank you so much for that awesome introduction. That was so cool.
Well, of course.
Here. This is one of my favorite shows to be in the audience of, so I love being there.
Well, thanks, Brian. That's because we have the best live chat on the internet.
That's right.
Okay. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Y'all are awesome.
Yep, shout out to everybody.
I see. Tammy said she's been waiting all day for this. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody. No, everybody's really excited to have you here, Brian. And cool. And you are such an expert. I know a lot of people, when we're talking about stuff, and we're like, oh, I'm not an expert on this. You really are an expert on Montauk. And
strange so to think.
It's strange. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Montauk is strange.
It is, right? You said that when we were there. I remember sirens going off at like 3 a.m. or something.
Oh, me and you and Long Island Bigfoot. Yeah, we were up really late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't sleep. I actually fell asleep like the next morning at like 8 o'clock, like shortly before I had to leave. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That was wild. I almost forgot about that. It was raining a little bit, and the alarm started sounding outside, and we were the only ones still awake, up talking on the back porch that night, and it was pretty scary.
I think we had like a really big lightning storm after our heat lightning. So
we did, and that was really weird because we were actually there to go see if the USS Eldridge was going to show back up the ocean for that biorhythm portal opening every 20 years.
I actually have some info on that.
You do?
Yeah, I was talking to the owner of Dan's Papers, which is like the Hamptons newspaper. He's retired and he has a podcast. It's called like Dan's Talks. And I figured while he was asking me questions, I'd ask him things that I always wanted to know, because he always wrote stories on Camp Hero. And he told me there was actually a huge Navy cruiser that was beached right there on the beach of Camp Hero, where everybody was out looking for it. And like years before on a TV show, they were looking for it because Al Bielek said that the ship would show up there on August 12th one day. I mean, in a certain year. So long story short, there was an actual Navy ship that was heading to Philadelphia that beached right there on Camp Hero. And the like chain snapped and one person like lost their life, trying to free this boat. And then they put it out in the water after like 6 months and sunk it or something. But it was too close to the story. And I was surprised I never heard that like little historical detail that lines up so well with all of this. It was crazy. So who knows if that was something else? I never heard of it, but there was actually a ship there like sitting on the coast of Camp Hero.
Or what if it could have been like a cover story too? I mean,
exactly. It was just so strange to hear that, and I have never heard that story or seen, anywhere. So I didn't mean to jump in there, but I had to tell you that.
No, I'm glad. Yeah. Any kind of intel is good intel. Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah. And we spent a full week out there.
Oh yeah.
That was a good week, and not only were we checking out what was going on in the water potentially, but we were exploring Montauk, the Camp Hero there. And you have a long history of living there in that area and having family that worked there. You've even written a book on it at this point. Would you be telling the audience kind of about your history with Montauk and how you got into all of this?
Yeah, sure. Basically, I was out there as a kid a lot as a local, East End Long Islander. Actually, everybody from Long Island would go out to Montauk Point. So, I mean, when they had spare time, people would go there from all over the place, actually. So we would like tailgate at the lighthouse and with other friends in RVs, and the kids we would just get on our BMX bikes and ride around, and we'd end up like riding. One time we rode into Camp Hero one year, and we found open underground bunkers. There were World War II bunkers, but they had a deep underground. So we just like climbed through the hole with no flashlights and started exploring these tunnels. And what stuck with me my whole life is that we found a huge hole in the floor, like wall to wall. And we crossed over this hole like by hugging the wall. And then we got to the other side and we dropped like a cement down there. And it was like 3 or 4 seconds before it hit water. So it was like 30 or 40 feet deep, pitch black hole. So we didn't want to go back over that because we realized how deep it was. So we just kept going. We went down a little further, like another layer deep, and then we ended up coming out of the ground, basically a hole in the ground, which was an old like military hatch that was caved in, but we came out of the ground right on the bluffs there. So that was like fascinating to me. I never knew there was a radar right there until I read the book series, The Montauk Project, Experiments in Time. You know, Preston Nichols, Peter B. Nichols, Peter Moon wrote that book. And then there was all this talk about this radar. And I'm like, I've been there. I went in the underground tunnels and I said, I didn't see any radar, but it's really well hidden. So I was hooked since, like, you know, that aspect of it. I started reading about the mind control and everything that the book brought to the whole story, brought to light basically for the first time. I guess I call them the original whistleblowers, basically. But, you know, since then, a lot has come out about Preston, at least. You know, Peter Moon was just the author. And but long story short, that's where it started. I started once we met them actually at some of the meetings, we decided to try to find all of the info we could on by ourselves. So stuff independent of what the book had written about. We decided to go there and take pictures, borrow video cameras and record, you know, and run around the base and explore everything ourselves and come up with our own theories, kind of independent of like what the book was about. Even though it was inspirational, we kind of wanted, from there, we already kind of decided to like document stuff, or at least I did. I was hanging on to it forever, transferring it from like VCR tapes into DVD, burning them onto DVDs, and then like putting them into the computer and recording them onto like MP4s over the years and just preserving them, because it's easy for them to get lost or destroyed. Like old tapes, you know, they turn into like fuzzy and I don't know. We even had to borrow those cameras back then. Nobody had, like, we had to borrow like a video camera that was like this big, like a tissue box, from like some friend's dad, and like, you know, bring it to Montauk safely and back or we'd get like in huge trouble for destroying it or whatever. So yeah, it was really hard to get that stuff back then, but we do have the old footage from the 90s, which I've studied. Like, even though I'm in it, I was there, I've still studied that footage to find more stuff over the years. So yeah, it's been a long time in this subject.
It has.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sorry, my microphone was a little weird, y'all. I had the wrong microphone setting a while ago, so I was muffled. I apologize, y'all. I didn't check my mic before we started, so hopefully this sounds better. Okay.
I heard that. I should have said something.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I saw the chat. Listen, my mods let me know. I saw that in there, so thank y'all. But yeah, I have my little headphone microphone right here today. So,
nice.
All right. So I was shocked at how. I mean, first of all, Camp Hero is huge. Okay, it's a big place. Yeah. It's full of woods. It's very wooded, and we got. I'm not going to say. I know somebody had said they thought they saw a picture of me going through the fence somewhere. Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. I don't think that there's people are supposed to be allowed near this radar tower. Okay, I'm just saying. And but you know, you were very knowledgeable on all of this. Now this was based, like I said, with the audience earlier, I said it's based off the show Stranger Things, or Stranger Things is based off of this. Okay, and everybody knows, y'all remember 11. Okay, mind control, teleportation, telepathy, all sorts of experiments on humans were being done there. Children in particular. It was not a pretty sight over there. Okay. It wasn't, it was pretty miserable for the people who were a part of a lot of these programs. And we were actually with some of the survivors of some of those programs when we were there. Yeah. How was that? Do you meet a lot of people around that area who have been survivors of that?
Yeah. Throughout the years, actually, before, like, in the beginning, there was a lot of local people that felt like they were involved, and they felt like they were part of it. And it's interesting because they never really, not many of them ever really came out or like said their names. I even had a couple friends, like we had a core group of friends that would go to the base, like maybe like 5, 6, 7, like 10, 12 of us, but there's like a core, like 6 of us, and 1 or 2 of them felt like they were involved. Actually, they had said it at the time, at least. And yeah, so there has been a lot of people like that. And since then I've met, like, hey, Mike, I've met like a ton of people that actually have came to me privately, you know, outside of, you know, by email, or maybe they've talked to other people, but they also touch base with me. And I've met a lot of people that have said they've been involved. But I usually tell them, like each story is like its own book, and like they have their own story to tell. They should tell it. And also, like, I couldn't possibly handle all of the information because it's so much from each person, and the emotional aspect from each, story. It would be like way too much. And I already have so much going on that I didn't even share yet, that I still have, that I'm like always behind on trying to get out there. So I figure, try to pass it on. But I do listen and find a lot of people. It's amazing. It seems to be a common thing to also like dream of it or like remember it after you start reading about it. And that's something that's happened to me too. So it's hard to say, but
Ooh.
it's definitely something.
Do you think that you could have potentially been a part of the programs there?
I don't think so. I mean, I know it's crazy. The people, like, I was almost, picked up by a van when I was a kid, and like I grew up with like one of the chiefs of somebody at B&L and stuff, and that was actually go to Montauk with us and like hang out in those parking lots. And my father actually worked at a company that built the Montauk radar, Sperry. They were a gyroscope company. And he didn't work there when they built it. They built it way before, like, he worked there. He was like fixing motherboards when he worked there. But it was just a lot of strange connections. So I could always like try to say that I was, but there's absolutely nothing that I remember, or, I was in the right places at the right times to be, but there's nothing that I can recall, or no reason for me to think so, let's just say. Yeah. So I've pretty much guessed no.
Oh gosh. I told Mike, LI Long Island Bigfoot, he's in the chat right now. Hey, Mike. Thanks for being here. I told him, I remember telling him, and maybe you too, I can't recall, but I was kind of surprised when we got to Montauk, where the beaches and everything. We stayed in a nice house out there with a big group of people, and I was shocked that there was no sign of Stranger Things there, like no statues or anything.
So crazy.
I just thought there would be more publicity of what went on there, but it is very hush hush and under the radar, so to speak.
It's insane. I literally took people around for gifts, and stuff, and there's nothing in any of those stores. Not even a radar, like no radar stickers, no radar shirts, nothing that has to do with anything other than like the lighthouse or your basic nautical theme. But sharks, that's a big thing because it's a great white nursery, like right off the coast of Montauk. Yeah, a lot of the great whites are born there, and they like swim around the planet and back.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Good thing we didn't swim, I guess. I didn't get in the water.
It gets pretty deep once you head like off the off the main. Well, it's over the continental shelf, so it's still pretty shallow, but they have like shark cages you could swim in, but also they have like a nursery where they're all born, the great whites, and they track one of them. It has like a social media account, and I forgot her name, the shark, but she swims around the world, and she always comes back to Montauk each summer or whatever, where she was born. So
that's interesting.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, before I ever heard of anything that had to do with the Montauk Project, anything to do with Montauk, I'd heard about the Montauk Monster or the Plum Island Monster. I think it went by both names, right?
Yeah.
Or they're two separate ones. I had heard about some animal.
You're right. It's the same thing, but they think it came from Plum Island and washed up on Montauk. But who knows? Because I have something else about that.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well,
yeah.
What do you know?
Well, besides like there's something I think about that I'll say like afterwards. But as far as what I know about the Montauk Monster, that is, a creature that washed up on shore, and it became a media sensation right away. So people were actually fighting over the fame and like who found it. And I wrote down in my book all of the original people that found it and that claimed it. And then they actually tried to get artists from New York. They paid artists to come out from New York City, from like Manhattan, and like to encase this in resin, basically. Mm-hmm. And they were going to like put the bones in like a clear block, basically, as a piece of art. And so they arranged this big media thing. They were going to have like film it for like a documentary. And by the time they all were like, squabbling over this, the original owner, I met a kid at Montauk who said this was his pit bull who went in the water. It had a pet tracking chip in its ear, which it does not look like a pit bull. I mean, but, and see the housefly on its leg and one on its back. That's how you could tell it's a little smaller than it appears, because that's the size of a housefly.
Yes.
Wow. So this kid said that he went and took the body back before they could get to it. But and then he just seemed like somebody else who was telling me just another story, trying to get in on this story. So
Oh, man.
Since then, I saw there's a video where another one of these seems to have washed up in Montauk. It was on a show, Travel Channel show. I forgot what it is. I think Paranormal caught on camera. Just had it the other day, and it was in Montauk. They filmed it, and there was another Montauk monster like down the shore a bit. And then, of course, there is the video that you showed on your channel with Mike, on the show with Mike, where you guys discussed Plum Island, where they found the old black and white canister in the guy's his grandfather's garage. And it's like, that one looks very convincing, actually, where they found another creature on Plum Island itself washed up, and it was like a hybrid creature. I don't know, didn't you had a clip of it, but there's an original video on YouTube.
Okay, I thought maybe you were talking about this. That's not what you're talking about, is it?
That's a human being, supposedly, that washed up.
That's what I wanted. I really want to talk about this tonight.
I was saving that one for last. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take that down, but just y'all know we're coming to that one before the end of the show tonight. That is, I tried to emulate what that looked like in the thumbnail, and AI. I'll just go ahead and out myself. AI gave me 6 fingers on that thing. I think it only had 5 though, right?
I think so, but that looks really close to it, actually.
It did.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I thought so too, because I figured it looked a lot like a human alien hybrid to me. I would think, with fingers like that, because on that, well, we'll talk about it towards the end of, a little bit.
Yeah.
But because the autopsy report, it did have an autopsy report. They only had like a human figure for the autopsy report, so they're probably not going to put like pointy ears and they
had to like erase and like make his fingers longer to begin with, and they had to. He had the holes in his 5 trepanation holes in his head, which is very and that's on the drawing too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well let's go back to Angie's in the chat. Hey Angie, she had mentioned Lyme disease.
Yes.
And now did they do this? And some people call this, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on YouTube. I'm gonna say it, bioweapons. Okay.
I don't know.
They have it is rumored that those were being made at places like Plum Island Labs, and what is that called? Lab 247.
Oh, the building. What is it? 257. I thought it was building 257. I thought it could be, the number could be off, but yeah, that's the main
257. That's right. Here it is. Okay. I've got a picture of it.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yep.
So this is Plum Island right here. Now, where is Plum Island in relation to Montauk?
Okay, so if you look at Eastern Long Island as like the fin of, like the tail of a shark, basically, there's like a top piece of tail and a bottom. Those are like the 2 peninsulas on Eastern Long Island. So the Northern Peninsula is like an island directly off of the end of the Northern Peninsula. So like right off the tip, and Montauk is directly to the south. Like, so the Montauk is at the end of the Southern Peninsula, like the bottom of a tail's fin, I guess.
Wow. Well, that's a convenient little place to put a government facility in the middle of the ocean up there, surrounded by great whites. Okay, so nobody's swimming away from there. If you try to get out of there, I'm not saying anybody would try to escape from here. Okay.
So this is closer to Connecticut. Yeah, it's on the way to Connecticut is a good way to describe it. Like the top of Long Island, there's like a series of island chains that connect you to Connecticut. So that's actually in the Long Island Sound, Plum Island. But it's hard to say like where the ocean ends and where the sound begins, but it's way out there, like you said. And I'm sure there's some sharks over there too.
Yeah, I did not. I had forgotten, or I didn't know about the great whites up there. Okay, so that adds a whole new element to all of this too. Yes. Well, it makes you wonder too, because we hear about all these underground facilities and the underground tunnels and things that are running through there, and I guess they can run through the ocean too, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were building underwater tunnels in the late 1890s. Like, especially in the big cities, in New York City, the East River, under the East River, to connect Long Island to Manhattan. Like, people that live in Brooklyn and Queens have to go over a bridge or through a tunnel to get to Manhattan because they are geographically on Long Island. So yeah, they were building those things way back. That's why when they say it can't be done at Montauk, it's always been absurd to me, because Montauk's on that huge bluff too, like 100 up to 100 feet over sea level to begin with. So they act like as soon as you dig anything at Montauk, there's like water flooding in, but you could build underwater.
I don't know. I've got pictures of, like, I guess this is a bunker.
Yes.
At Montauk right there. And look, I was there. I was there. I know there are all sorts of underground things going on there. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. But they have these bunkers. This is from 1940s, I think, was when this
Yeah.
picture was made.
That's the artillery. That's a huge gun sticking out of the bunker there.
Oh,
See the barrel and see the shells
I
where the
do.
guys are standing to the left of them. Those are what comes out of the
wow.
end. Those are to sink like submarines like 30 miles out in the
So
ocean.
so that's near the bluff where we were hanging out.
That's
Or-
right. We parked right in front of those bunkers, like right near the radar.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and one of them there's identical ones on each side of the base, but yeah, they're huge. And I have some old video footage in this from the 90s in those tunnels. There's a huge tunnel that connects some of those bunkers, and we walked down like a 500-foot tunnel and recorded it. And that's what I was going to say about the other thing I was getting at about the Montauk Monster is in that old video in the 90s. If you look carefully in like the first side room we go in, there's actually like, I don't know if I could say it, but there's like a head on the floor, and it looks like the Montauk Monster, basically. Like it's in the video, and I never pointed it out because of didn't want to point it out, and I thought people would notice it, but I kept looking at it over the years, over and over, and the ears, everything look identical, and it's very strange how it's just sitting there. So we got really creeped out and just like walked out of the room, and we talk about it on the video. We were like kind of shocked, and then we just kind of like moved on into trying to find our way through, because the flashlights back then were like plastic little incandescent bulb that's like makes a spot on the wall about this big, like a yellow circle for you to try to see where you are. So everybody complains about that video actually, because I don't think they realized it was recorded in the 90s. So they're like, you need to get some better flashlights. I was like, well, if I find the Montauk chair, I'll go back in time and re-record this in like HD. But no, it's fun because that's all we had, so we just did it with what we had. But yeah, there was something really creepy in there. And then when I first saw the Montauk Monster, I was like thinking of that right away because it really resembled it. So I'll have to show it to you one day, and you can tell me what you think. If I don't want to like force that on people to look at. That's why.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Send it over, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
For
problem.
sure. I mean, what are the odds of that?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What would the odds be?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And the way it was sitting too was like almost placed. I don't know. It was creepy either way because you don't know if people did it or it was another animal that did this to this animal or what. So whatever it is, and you're in the middle of like a dark tunnel somewhere, and you find that, you're like, okay, we're not the only ones in here, basically. So
no, there's a lot of like paranormal activity that happens over there too, especially around that radar tower and all over the place. So it's just an area of very high strangeness.
It's very surprising too that to find all the paranormal stuff that we did in the radar tower. It was really surprising. We didn't expect it. It started with a disembodied voice that called out, and we have that on our recorded and everything, and it just sang out to us, and we all answered it. We all said, huh? We were like, because we thought it was like somebody on the next floor up yelling down to us, but we realized it was in the room with us, like right above this little thing you could stand on. So since then we were going back and then checking a few things out and with some tools, and we got a lot of good stuff after that too. But yeah, that was a total surprise, and we don't know why at all. Besides the project itself, we don't remember anything like that happening back when we used to go all the time, and all the it was really open back then. So maybe after it's been sealed, that's happened. I don't know. Can't figure it out. Just another thing at Montauk we cannot figure out.
Oh yeah, it was creepy. It was very creepy to me. In a lot of those places, because I could feel the trauma that happened there.
Yeah,
a lot of trauma.
That's what everybody says. Like they feel the property one way or another. Like it feels heavy, or it feels empty, like a void, or like frozen in time or out of time. I've heard all kinds of things about the environment there. Everybody seems to notice something about the environment and comment on it. At least that's one thing that's always common about like people that have been there.
Yeah. Long Island Bigfoot Mike says the whole island is the definition of hidden in plain sight, talking about Plum Island.
Oh yeah.
And it seems like even Montauk, even Camp Hero seems to have been hidden in plain sight.
Absolutely. That was their main thing. Like they have, the gymnasium for the troops there was disguised as a church. It has like a church steeple, dormers. Right. All the houses were not like a standard army base. They were like staggered, all crooked and painted different colors. And, all bunkers even were disguised as houses. So like we go in this one bunker by the radar still that's left over from World War II. it looks like a house, but it's actually cement. Like the siding is cement, and it has little, inside it has like rung ladders and everything, and a basement. So yeah, there's a lot of, it's all about hiding at Camp Hero. You're right about that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was undercover. Nothing was as it seemed.
Yeah.
Even that house that was beside the radar tower. I think I have a picture of it.
Yeah, that's
That
the
house.
one.
Well, I think I was watching a live stream with Arkeem Ra and Brian Sang, and they had a gentleman on last week,
Yeah.
and he was part of the programs as well, and he was talking about being given psychedelic drugs and stuff when he was a kid, when he was there.
Yeah,
in that
I know
house.
him. I think I know him. Yeah. Yeah, basically people have mixed that up with the LSD house as well. But the house that had the LSD rooms, the 4 rooms that were psychedelic, was this yellow house that was a little further down the base. But this one is it was repurposed by the Air Force after the Army left, because this was the only thing there at one point, and then they built this huge radar base around this old house, because this house connects to both of those huge bunkers you showed before. This is the battery commander station. It used to be, and these are the batteries that you're showing. So that house would command not only this one, but its twin sister on the other side of the base. That's the one Junior was supposedly standing on. So these giant bunkers were like, both of them were commanded by that one house, and they have these tunnels that connect them for the cables that go underground, phone wires. And so people could walk through and be able to fix a broken wire, like anywhere along the 1,500 feet underground. It's like 35 feet underground, and it's like 1,500 feet on both sides. It's crazy. And there's 2 35-foot ladders to get up to get to that house that you just showed. But those tunnels are long gone. But we did find them with a ground penetrating radar on that History Channel show in 2017. We had scientists there, and they had this stuff. It cost like $100,000 to rent for the day when the show paid them. And they were just at the paw of the Sphinx in Egypt before they came to Montauk, this science team. So they had awesome stuff. We did like 4 tests there, but only like 2 of them made the show. But they found this giant thing buried right under the tennis court there in front of the radar. And between the tunnel and the radar, it's like 60 feet deep, and like a huge like metal. It's a picture of it. I printed it in my book. I don't know if I was supposed to, but I put it in there because it was important. So I was there for the testing, and I actually helped guide the guys where to do the testing they had me do. So I figured I could print the picture.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you can do whatever you want, man. You do whatever you want.
Yes.
You have really documented the entire property and experiences of people, even people you're close to, even people from the town, people who work there. You've done a great job of documenting all of that. And you may be the only person that's ever documented all of this and had put a book out to the public on it, from what I know.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully people will keep doing it, and I still have a whole bunch I didn't share yet. So hopefully we'll be able to keep, sharing as much as I can. Thank you, though.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, you were telling me earlier about an experience you had recently where something jumped off the roof.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Junior. Can you explain to the audience who Junior is and the significance of Junior?
Sure. So Junior is the Sasquatch that supposedly was conjured or possibly pulled through a portal or something that destroyed the base on August 12th, 1981 was the date where they supposedly crashed the project. So the book says it was Duncan Cameron in the chair, and they whispered in his ear, "The time is now." And other stories, it has changed over the years. So that was the very first incarnation of the story in like 1991 when it was written. But since then, everything has changed. So Junior is basically this big, they called him the Beast, also the Beast of the Id was his, like one of his original names in the book. But anyways, this giant Sasquatch, it also looks like a dog man or like a shadow figure. And it basically destroyed the base is the legend. So, and then there's these photos of Junior. So he's supposedly there sometimes and not others. So actually, it may be I think it's something that's, Junior may be a being that's like interdimensional that's been attached to that property for a very long time. And maybe this, maybe they just happened to be there and conjured something up that was already there, or like maybe just allowed it to come through easier. I don't know. Because it's a Native American land originally. It was a Native American village there where they would like work on wampum, because they called Montauk the Fort Knox of wampum. So they were there, like, getting the purple shells and making beads and stuff they use for meetings. So But yeah, when the base came, they kind of took the property away from them. And somebody asked me if it was cursed with like skin changers, and I didn't think so because the tribe was very dwindled at that point, and the way they took it away in 1910, and they built the base on this property very shortly after. So as soon as they took the property, it was like under 20 years later, they were already planning this base. So I think there is a Native American history, so it's possible that there could be some cryptids that are in the past here at least, and maybe that means they're still here now. I don't know if they're not in our dimension of time. I'm not sure how it works, but yeah, I do think there's something more to it, and more than just the story of that the Montauk Project books told about Junior. I think that it's something much deeper about this property, especially what I've experienced from people telling me about shadows running around and what I've even seen and heard there now. So experienced just recently. So
yeah. Tell us what you experienced, because to me it sounded as though, I know there are a lot of deer on that property, of deer.
Yeah,
that's something that I couldn't wrap my head around, how many deer. There's so many deers out there, and
there's
they weren't really scared of us.
They're not scared at all. Yeah, they kind of
no.
they surprise you a lot. And I put some trail cameras out there, and the deer came right up and put their noses right on the lens. But one of them was scared, looking at something. It looked up and it saw something. But yeah, so I was walking near this computer building, and I have this on footage. I mean, I have this recorded on one of my most recent. I think it's like the second most recent video. I have to put a new one out, but I'm walking near the computer building. It's like this cement pathway. It's kind of like all overgrown except for the little cement path. So there's like a regular sized roof next to me. And all of a sudden I turned around just to film the radar, and something jumped off the roof behind me and landed on the ground so hard that it felt like heavier than a human, heavier than me at least. So I assumed deer right away. But right as soon as it jumped, I turned around and I heard like 3 footsteps, and you could hear that on the video as well. And you hear the brushing, like the legs were kicking through the reeds to match the footsteps. So like 1, 2, 3, and then it just stopped, and there was nothing there when I looked. But my instincts, as I turned, I ran. This is like the first time I've ever ran on my videos. And so I ran like 20 feet up, and then I turned around and I was filming, and I didn't see anything. So I was like standing there for a minute trying to figure out what the heck that was, because it was just like a sound with nothing that I can see. But I heard this, I felt it in my feet too, because it was so heavy. So, and you could hear on the video, I played it twice. I turned the second one really, really loud. So it's like, thump, it was pretty crazy. So, and then I kind of forgot about it, and I started wandering over towards the radar. And yeah, I lost track. I just kind of forgot that something was over there. But when I came back again, I was still looking that way. But yeah, I kind of drifted off, and I saw something weird near the radar too. Like it was just a bush that, as I walked past it, it kind of morphed into what looked like the picture of Junior from the original book. And it was, I posted that on Instagram. It was just like, if you look in the bush, it's just a really dark figure. It looks like a head and shoulders, kind of like the original picture of Junior. And then as I walked past, it retained its shape, but then eventually the perspective, I saw it came apart as foliage again. But it almost looked like it just kind of morphed together for me. So I stopped questioning things like that once I see them. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go with this now. Because I did my best to prove everything, to more skeptical people in the book. And I said I was going to have more fun and just go out there and see what I see in the field. And that's what I saw that day. It was pretty crazy. So I do think there's something running around there. And there's a lot of other stories to back that up that people have told me, or, other things that I've seen. So.
Yeah, that's wild. It's usually when we're just out having fun and we're messing around. We're not paying attention to, like, oh, we gotta listen for Bigfoot. Everybody be quiet. It's like in those moments you don't get a lot of action, but it's when you just forget about it. You don't pay attention to it. It's almost like it just kind of manifests there for you.
Exactly.
That's when they let themselves be known, is when you're not paying attention.
That seems, that sounds so right.
Fun.
I was there by myself, just kind of, I didn't have any plans. I was just kind of kicking around, and that's when it happened. So yeah, that sounds right.
Sounds about right.
That sounds about right.
Well, I don't think that if it jumped from a high level like that, I think it would have broken its legs.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So I realized after I ran like 20 feet away that obviously that wasn't a deer. Like that was just me like trying to make sense of it. Because when I first took off, I thought if it is a deer, it's going to run up the only path that I'm in, and it's going to like gore me with its antlers. So I'm going to like get out of the way. So that's why I kind of took off. Actually, I thought the deer was going to come like coming up behind me, but I realized there's no way a deer would be on the roof. Like, how would it even get up there? I know they could jump pretty high, but they'd be slipping around up there. Yeah.
Okay. I saw Angie. Thank you so much for that super sticker. She said she's making some peanuts. Okay, but boiling some peanuts.
Nice.
Out in South Carolina. Thank you, Angie. I love you, girl. You're awesome. She's listening to the truth, she says. So thank you, Angie, for being here tonight. And also, I want to congratulate Maureen for being a member of the Hunt Club for 10 months. Thank you so much, Maureen. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
That is cool.
I wanted, I think that I was going to talk about the deer briefly, because I have seen deers do some weird stuff.
Yeah.
And it includes swimming. And I saw Angie put in the comments a while ago about deer can swim. And it's shocking because you don't think they can. They've got those hooves.
Yeah.
Anything with hooves should not be able to swim, I wouldn't think. And those little tiny skinny legs and the big bodies.
Yeah. I don't know how they do.
I don't know how they do either. But one night I've lived on a lake most of my life. And one night there was this really large commotion in the backyard. And I went outside and I couldn't understand what I was looking at. I thought there was a person drowning, but I saw a head and I saw something, just making a lot of noise. It ended up being a deer crossing from one side of the lake to the other.
That's lucky to see.
It was weird. It was super weird. I had never seen a deer swim before, and it was really having a hard time, but it did it.
I haven't seen it. I heard they swim across the Sound too, the Long Island Sound, from Connecticut to Long Island.
Yeah,
and that's far.
Yes, they can swim.
Yeah, but I don't think they'd be on that roof. Like you said, they'd break their leg. No. And also, they make such a commotion when you do. I scare deer all the time. That same day, I scared 2 other deer. I snuck up on them. They didn't see me at all. It was when I reached for my phone really slow. He saw me move, and they take off, and they make a huge ruckus. So this thing just like stopped after 3 steps. So that's how I knew something was off. I didn't hear it like running out of there down the cement. There's a road right there. So yeah, it's. Oh, and then a subscriber actually sent me a map. And they circled the area where they heard they were coming in at night, and one of them felt weird, and he didn't want to tell his friend because his friend was new there. And then his friend said, "Hey, I feel weird. Do you?" He's like, "No," but he did. And then he said a second later, something jumped out of a tree and landed on the ground. It was so heavy they felt it in their feet. And then so he decided to tell me the story because he watched the video, and then he sent me like a map, and it was pretty much in the same exact, like a couple hundred feet away. So I don't know what would be jumping out of a tree, but something is.
Same area. Caleb Jade is in the chat. What's up, Caleb? I can't wait to hang out with you again one day, Caleb. Let's see. Cloaked predators, he says. Cloaked predators. That could be something similar to what they got there. I mean, you don't know what kind of stuff has come in and out of portals there. I mean, I've seen Stranger Things. I watched at least the first or maybe the second seasons. Okay, I watched at least 2 or 3 seasons of it, and they had the upside down world. They had the lab where they would go in, and it was like a whole different dimension where they could come in and out of in the upside down world, and that is very similar to whatever was going on at Montauk. I'm assuming if they based the show off of it.
Yeah, so that's like the Stargate part of it, like the Stargate theory, where they had. Like a horizontal pool of water almost that you would step through and almost teleport, you would travel through time and space. But also the Montauk chair was supposedly a way that they were traveling time. But anywhere you do have something being ripped in the time-space continuum, or a portal being opened, or even time travel, you have all kinds of paradoxes and what ifs. So yeah, the place that happened in, the property is always going to be, high energy after that, or I mean, even I think it was selected because of its high energy to begin with. So you have that too. Maybe it's an ancient place already that was a power place. I've been leaning towards that too, because even like when you go to the history of the country, like the Montauk Lighthouse was the first thing the United States ever built as a country, the first public works project, and they selected it to be the guiding light to the New World for people coming to, and then it was replaced by the Statue of Liberty. But like you see the importance from like day one by like some of the biggest, like, the forefathers were pretty much like the grand masons of the time. But like you can see that this spot was chosen. So like I don't think it's any coincidence that like all these experiments happened here, and something about it, like the land itself. That's my theory, at least.
The ley line.
Yeah, they say there's a major ley line crossing.
I would think ley lines.
Yeah, they say there's like that planetary crossing point, or Turtle Cove is supposed to be magical energy, like famous surf spot, and all these things. But yeah, it's so many things to look into when it comes to Montauk, that's for sure. But the guy that washed up on Plum Island, that was something that was in the local newspapers and official. That was a pretty official piece of evidence, because the guy that you showed before, that was the Suffolk County coroner sketch for the guy that washed up.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the experimentation that went on at the lab at Plum Island. A little bit, because we'd mentioned the ticks earlier. Okay, like that's what they're known for, is the tick experimentation, and it was for Lyme disease. I actually pulled up some ticks. Okay, just in case y'all don't. There may be people that don't know what ticks are. I don't know. Just thought maybe I'd just show some ticks.
Oh, the Lone Star. We got destroyed by the Lone Star tick larva for the last 3 years.
Itchy.
Yeah, it's so itchy. We thought they were chiggers, but they're actually Lone Star tick larvae.
Yeah.
And it's infested on Camp Hero, like Radar Hill is infested in the summer. So
really,
they're not supposed to be here. They're from Texas. So there's another escaped Plum Island tick there. So yeah, so you were saying they did have chemicals there originally, because it was the first 4 years of that lab was Army chemical warfare lab. And then there was this big public outrage about it in 1952. So they turned it over to the Department of Agriculture and made it into the Animal Disease Research Lab. So it's, they were studying like hoof and mouth, bovine disease, all this stuff. But there was this guy from Paperclip, Eric Traub, his name was. He was a Nazi scientist from Paperclip that was, they tried to get him to be the manager of Plum Island twice. He turned down the job. They offered him more money, but he was working in Fort Detrick, and he was studying tick-borne in Nazi Germany. He was studying tick-borne illnesses. And then he came here and he was working at Plum Island. And, from there on out, that kind of says it. And here's another thing. Plum Island had a few power failures, and they think things got out and got onto birds, and the birds flew in equal distances. So if you look like Lyme, Connecticut, where they say Lyme disease originated from, if you look at the distance to Plum Island, it's the same distance to Montauk, because there was this thing in the late 60s, early 70s called Montauk knee, and it was the same as Lyme disease. Montauk knee, they called it. So they were like equal distances from Plum Island. If you just draw a big circle, like from where these things, escaped on birds and flew to the mainland, or to Connecticut. To Connecticut or to Long Island, and spread them. So yeah, when we go in the summer, like Mike, LIB and Long Island Bigfoot and Dark Hour Paranormal and Danielle, when we go each summer, and with other guests, we now know that we're going to get like totally covered in these bites, and they last for months, and they itch so bad. It's terrible. We're all keep saying that we're not going to go there anymore in the summer, but we keep doing it. So the same thing with the radar. But yeah, it really shouldn't, because the place is falling apart, and it's not worth those bites. Mike could tell you, he was like, it's mentally devastating, because like you just want to rip your skin off, because it itches so bad. And we're hundreds of them on each limb. Like, yeah, I think it might, maybe they put them there to make it so people can't get in there easily. That was what Mike was saying. And I started thinking about it. It would be easy to like dump a barrel of ticks in there and just let them multiply over the years. But they don't really mow it or anything in the summer. So it's a dangerous place to go, for sure.
It is.
We've been lucky.
Well, there's potential, like potential radiation there too. And there's all sorts of stuff going on around that area. You just don't, you don't know what you're getting into. You would be the one person I'd trust. You and Mike, and Dark Hour Paranormal. Okay. Michael, I trusted you guys with, going out there, because you know what to look out for, where the dangerous places are, where the, even the ticks and stuff. There were signs everywhere around Montauk about the ticks everywhere. Yeah.
The radar, there's like falling pieces of the dish. You have to watch out in the wind, and like you said, there was toxic stuff. They did a huge toxic cleanup, but who knows? I know they didn't get it all. You can see that.
Yeah. Angie says, I believe they infected deer with Lyme on Montauk. The deer swam to the mainland.
Wow.
Is that how they got out?
They do swim even more. They swim even further, like across the whole sound. So yeah, they could totally swim from Plum Island and outward, anywhere.
get past
Didn't
all
think of
them
that.
great whites. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can't think of that either.
Infecting the great white population with
Oh my
Lyme
God.
disease.
Sounds like a movie, like the new Sharknado, but
Oh
Ticknado.
my God. Ticknado. Yeah.
Ticknado. There you go.
Ticknado.
That'd be
Oh my
terrifying.
gosh. Well, that would be, well, everything about Plum Island is terrifying. It really
It
is,
really is.
when it comes down to it. And, you look up Plum Island online and you get pictures like this.
The
Okay.
hybrids. Yeah.
I mean, I talk a lot about animal human hybrids. I've had people on my shows that have talked about even seeing them and experiencing them and working side by side with some of them, or
Wow.
being threatened to be fed to one. Okay.
Wow.
And in deep underground military base facilities and stuff. I would
Wow.
imagine this is what one would actually look like, some kind of hybrid alien or human animal or alien hybrid. I don't know.
Yeah. It
However
seems
you want to
like
mix it.
modern day, like chimeras or chimeras.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you pronounce that.
Chimera.
But
I say chimeras. but I'm
chimera.
from-
I think that's right. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. They do there as well, like, and referred to as the island of Dr. Moreau. The real island of Dr. Moreau. But it's interesting. They were going to turn that into a maximum security prison at first. That was their idea for that island, and that's why in the movie Silence of the Lambs, they have Hannibal on Plum Island in the movie, because they were referencing like it was going to be a maximum security prison at first. Yeah, so if you watch Silence of the Lambs again, they say in the movie Hannibal's on Plum Island. Yeah,
No
it's
way.
awesome. Yeah, I took a
He's not
screenshot and
there.
made a short out of it, like a couple Montauk in like popular movies or whatever.
Oh my God. Him and his
But-
Chianti and some fava beans, right?
Yeah, yes,
Out
exactly.
there. Gosh, that's terrifying. But it does look, is it
Yeah.
Alcatraz that's on an island too? I mean, that it kind of reminds me of something like that. It'd be a perfect place for a prison, a high security prison, I would assume.
Yeah, I guess that was their idea at first.
Yeah. Especially with those sharks.
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
You ain't getting out, you ain't leaving. But if the deers can make it, humans can make it. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just
Well,
saying.
the guy that came ashore there didn't make it. I
Oh,
don't
that's
think he
right.
came from there though. I think there was like an offshore. They do a lot of stuff offshore because it's outside of the national lines, so it's like there's no laws to govern what they're doing, so they can do all this stuff right outside. Like, what is it like? I don't know the mileage because I don't know the nautical stuff, but you go
Like
not that
maritime
far.
law?
Yeah, like as soon as you go a certain distance, you're not in like U.S. territory. You're in like maritime law, and it's like open ocean there, basically. So the movie Moribus, the Marvel movie Moribus, actually touched on that, and they also mentioned Montauk. They're off the coast of Montauk, they say in the movie, on a genetic like testing barge or whatever, and they're making like chimeras. Actually, they made him.
Mhm.
He's like a vampire or whatever. But the point is, they were imitating Plum Island. Like Disney is basically like putting Plum Island in their movie through Marvel Comics, of course. But and the show Loki is like Thor's brother Loki's time traveling in this show, and they bring ashore the U.S. Eldridge through a time portal. They bring the USS Eldridge from the Philadelphia experiment on the show because they can do that. Because Stranger Things didn't take the opportunity to use Montauk and Camp Hero, like they changed it at the last minute. And now Disney is just grabbing stuff from the conspiracy, the story, the lore, the legend, whatever you want to call it, like, the truth. But they're using it because there's nobody that they have to pay to use it. Like there's no copyright for the USS Eldridge. It's just like this part of like what we talk about, right? But if they want to throw it in their show, they can, because nobody's going to stop them. So they were smarter. They're going right to the source with this kind of stuff and using it in their shows instead of like Stranger Things had to change the name, and now they can never really mention any of this stuff because they already like made the choice to change it. So I thought that was interesting. There's a Stranger Things ride at Universal Studios in Florida. I was like, what is going on here? Like, how is this becoming so popular?
It's
And
mainstream.
and it's been
in plain
whitewashed.
sight. That's
Yeah. Like all the
Why-
people always point out that part of it, and it has, the dark stuff has been squeezed out of it for mainstream culture. But
it's made for
There's-
TV, and
Yeah.
and so and it's made for kids.
that
most
is, that's
Huge.
mind blowing.
It is mind blowing because it's my son loves that series. He watched every single season
Yeah. Same.
of Stranger Things.
Yeah,
yeah.
like my nephews, cousins, they all love it. So
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to Montauk with the kids that were part of those programs, right? I was like, they're grown up today. And he was like, whoa, no way. Because, it's hard to wrap your head around that being real, especially
Yeah.
for kids,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and being a lot more sinister and a lot worse in person than it was on film.
And that was pretty easy to do, the parapsychology stuff in the 70s, because like, you know, like remote viewing, what did they really like at the Stanford Research Institute? They had like pads, pencils, you know, a quiet room, a couple desks. They didn't really need like a huge budget to make this happen. Like some of
No,
the,
I'm a remote viewer. I don't have a big budget. I
Yeah,
just sit
that's
here
what,
with my printer paper and some pens, and that's all I need
exactly.
in a quiet
So like
room.
people say that they couldn't have been done. I mean, it didn't take much except for the idea and then to organize it back then to try to do it at Montauk, so to say. Like, I don't know if they did it at Montauk, but I think it would be easy to do, is all I mean. But yeah, I would love if you could give me some data on a target or two. But I don't want to pick the ones
For
that I
sure.
always pick. I know we've talked about it, but I
Yeah.
never really gave you the coordinates yet.
Well, we need to do that. We need to do it very soon.
That'd be cool.
For sure. And yeah, and
Sure.
Ron was wondering, is the Montauk project still ongoing? It's not.
I mean,
right?
no, not at Montauk, but if you look at what it was, it kind of has spread across the planet. Like basically, you know, omnidirectional microwave broadcasting outward to affect people's moods. Well, what do you see on every corner in every neighborhood across the world? You have
5G
cell phone towers.
towers.
Yeah, they're microwave omnidirectional towers. It all started like learning the mood experiments after like Frey wrote his paper in 1961, and then they made some patents for like you know, microwave auditory effect, and then you know Montauk capitalized broadcasting it on people and cataloging what frequencies determine what moods and stuff like that. So it was pretty simple, but yeah. So in that sense, a lot of the stuff that started at Montauk is kind of spread across the planet. So I'd say it's still ongoing and affecting like every one of us basically, and in everyday life in that sense, but not at the property. There's nothing that I can see going on there except for like remnants of the past, maybe energy that's still there, and whatever else is there that's on a paranormal level or in the skies or in the woods that may have always been there. That stuff's still going on. But as far as the project, no. That's like the right answer. Is just not in the military sense there anymore. Unless there's a deep underground base that's still operational, which I've never been able to fully say there is, but it looks like it's very possible that they could have built one. I just don't feel like it's still operational with all that water we see coming right up to the surface. It looks like they scuttled the whole thing with water because there was a lot of technology down there. So if it was like a lab, a bio lab, they would use fire to scuttle it. But in like a tech lab, they'd use water, just like turn the faucets on and there goes all the servers and all the equipment that's making all this possible.
They might have just rerouted it somehow. And maybe it's just in a different location. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's no telling.
There's no telling.
There's no telling, but I'm sure they just what they've done is they've repackaged it. Like they've already finished their mission there. They did what they needed to do, and now it's on a wider scale, and it's just hidden in plain sight, and it's in our everyday lives. Now we're all walking around with a cell phone, a recording device in our hands, in our back pockets every day.
Tracking device.
Tracking device. They don't need all this mind control. We've got our TVs and our computer screens now. We carry it. We beg for it now. You know, it's like we can't live without our computers, right? So
yeah, I mean, now like even the routers can see where you are in your house because they can see like the Wi-Fi and they see where the Wi-Fi is not is where your body is. So they can actually see like your outline walking around. It's we're going into that age, so that's to be expected, I guess. Like an age of like no privacy, everything is being recorded or tracked in some way.
That's right.
We're
paying for it.
Yeah,
we pay to be tracked. Okay, I have a monthly cell phone bill. Okay, so and I mean our TVs are probably spying on us, but that's besides the point. I know we're here to talk about monsters, but who are the real monsters? That's the question.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's like one of the things Mike pointed out, like through one of the downloads he got at the base, is like he was thinking about it like this thing wrecked the base, like Junior, or this being that was called upon, and but they made him out like he was the monster, but he actually like stopped this terrible thing from happening. That was also in the story. So who's like the real monster? He was like the hero of Camp Hero.
That's
like,
right.
If it's all written from somebody's viewpoint. So, and one of the people that wrote that viewpoint did some pretty dark stuff themselves and actually talked about it in the book, but they made themselves out to be the hero kind of. So in respect to them being not here anymore, I won't like, say their name and stuff. But that's like, if people ask me what I think about it, it was written from a certain view, but that's all we had at the time, that first book, and a lot of people didn't know the space even existed. So I give it credit for where it's due. It got us all out there, people on Long Island going out there all the time. And I guess it needed to be, introduced to the public for the first time in that sense.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Oh man. Well, you mentioned the real heroes. We have some real heroes in the chat tonight. Kent Baxter, thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate that. And I'm having fun too. I know we talk about some weird stuff, right? But having Brian's my friend. We have a good time talking about Camp Hero. I've been there with him, and this is mind blowing. This information, everything. I mean, I always learn something new from you, Brian, about all this. Yeah, and Andrew too. Walking Lightly, super. Thank you for that super sticker too. I appreciate your support. You're my super moderator, man.
Awesome.
I really appreciate you very much. And also we have Cosmic Joe Chronicles. Thank you so much for that super sticker. I really appreciate that. He says, I saw photos of the Goat Man, which is here in the forest of Maryland.
Wow. That's
not too far from New York.
No.
And that reminds me of the Billywhack monster. Okay.
Ooh.
Out in California. Okay. We were doing, last weekend, we were doing East Coast versus West Coast cryptids.
Wow.
The beef. No, just kidding. There's no beef. East Coast, West Coast beef. But there are a lot of goatmen sightings on the East Coast, but we have documentation of an underground lab. Okay, we're talking about labs again.
Yeah.
It was schmotzy. Instead of saying, I know we say Nazi, but it's not a scientist, basically. Actually, I don't think he was from Germany. I think he was Swiss. Maybe he was from Switzerland, I think.
Wow.
There's a scientist, though. Okay, and he was basically part of what the CIA is today, but it was called something different back then in the 1920s, I believe.
OSS or something?
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, the OSS. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
but
I think that's Office of Strategic Services, but I don't know if that's U.S. or British. Might be British.
Well, this was in the U.S.
Okay,
and it was in California, in Southern California, and this gentleman was actually commissioned to come over here and do these experiments, basically human hybrid experiments there. Wow. And there's all these goatmen that were seen out there. They call them they call it the Billywhack monster, but they believe that was from some of his experimentation, where he was trying to meld humans with animals in his lab down there.
Yeah, believe it. I don't know if people would know it or not, but before bed, I watched all the cryptid videos, caught on camera, trail cams, hour-long things until I get tired and then I go to bed. But I've seen try to keep up on all the modern, all the newest sightings and doorbell cam videos, everything. But yeah, I've seen a lot of goatmen videos over the years and pictures, and so many people, crawlers, of all kinds, calling it, whatever they're called differently, but they always seem to be the same voice, stature, the way they walk, with their neck forward. And there's so many videos. There's thousands and thousands of videos out there. It's incredible. But I love to hear about the genetic, the laboratory-based ones, and anything involving the military, of course. And there was a cool movie years ago, and I can't find it anymore. It's called The Hunt, because there's 5 other movies called The Hunt. But they had this chained off area. It was a fenced off area, and these hunters went in, but it was they were it was aliens, grays, and they would come and land in this area at night, and whoever went in there was fair game for them. So they were trying to get out, but the government kept them in, herded them, and let the aliens have at them. But I thought it was pretty cool concept, because a lot of people talk about these areas now that are designated for cryptids or experimental, laboratory based cryptids or chimeras.
Yeah, I say chimeras.
Chimeras. I'll get it right one day.
Brian, I pronounce everything wrong. If you watch any of my show, I'm always pronouncing everything wrong, and so I just have to keep. The show must go on. I don't know. We can pronounce it however you want. You're on my channel. It doesn't matter.
That sounds good.
Every single show I do where I say Appalachian Mountains, somebody in the comments always goes Appalachians or something. I still don't know what they're trying to say, because I'm I think I'm saying it right. I live in the Appalachian Mountains. Okay. I spend all my time here. Okay. And I say it how I say it. So I don't apologize. I just
Yeah, I don't know
don't.
if it's
I don't
Appalachian
know.
or Appalachian. I don't know.
Appellation. I don't know. I say it how I say it. And I
Just
also eat Vienna sausages sometimes. Okay. So
Vienna, nice.
Vienna. Yeah.
I had
So
tater logs before.
yes. Yeah. We all know about them tater logs. We really do. Uh,
Exactly.
oh my gosh. Yeah. Someone was just asking, I think it was Tammy, was like, does somebody really have a picture of a goat man? Because Cosmic Joe Chronicles said that he had seen a picture of one. I've seen a real life trail cam picture of what looks like a goat man before.
That's
And
the famous one, I think, that I've probably seen a lot.
this one has never been published. This is a private picture that I was
Oh, okay.
actually asked to never. I don't even know where it's at. I think someone just showed it to me. They
Wow.
sent it to me. I should have saved it. I don't know where it's at. But
It-
they asked me not to show it. It was on someone's property, and it looks like a man who was shirtless.
mhm.
He looked like he had brown, kind of curly hair that went to around his shoulders, and he
Wow.
looked like he had horns on the side of his head. And
Wow.
he, from his waist down, all I could see it like hair, like fur
Wow. Like
on his legs. And they said that they had been having, they thought what they thought was a goat man on their property, and then they had that picture of that guy. They said he either
wow.
was it
Like
looked like
tan.
either a feral human or a goat
Mhm.
man.
But there was what do they call it? A satyr that had like horse legs and a man top half. Yeah, that's interesting. I've seen a couple videos where like there's something on the side of the road and it's sitting there and somebody's zooming in on it, but it has the two horns. It's like a really dark shadow, but when it turns its profile, and there's a similar one where it's sitting like behind an old light post in a field. So those two I thought were like the same exact thing, but I don't think the people that were talking about the videos had connected them. But I saw these two stray videos with like the same exact looking being in them. And I wish those two people saw that they were each other's videos, but it looked like what you just described, kind of, at least the horns did. So, but yeah, there's so many, like, who knows how many are fake and how many are, I mean, I could spot AI pretty good, starting with VCRs, and making videos all my life and seeing special effects grow from like through the 80s into like what they are now. You can see AI, like, the hands and the feet and the hair that moves around. It's spottable, but one day it's going to get really good where even us that, grew up seeing it come into play will not be able to tell the difference anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to always think I'm going to be able to tell the difference, but
Oh yeah, really there's nothing like the 1980 special effects
like the Max
stuff,
Headroom, yeah, big pixels on
So
everything.
any kind of like puppet show or something, or like the Dark Crystal kind of thing. I mean, it's
Yeah, that was good.
kind of stuff. It was. Well, you can't really fake this being that washed up on shore. This guy at Plum Island. I know I'm just kind of jumping into it.
Yeah, go.
There was a body that washed up on shore. Did it wash up on shore at Plum Island or on Montauk? Where did this thing wash up on shore at?
Yeah, it washed up on Plum Island itself, which was interesting because it's like, did it escape from Plum Island and not make it and then get washed back onto the island, or did it jump off of a ship that was off of Plum Island, or did it escape from Montauk and swim to Plum Island to get away from Montauk? No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure that most people probably assume it came from Plum Island or right offshore. Nobody really knows, though. They just know that it washed up there. And the original article in the paper says they didn't even know like what race he was at first. Like at first they thought he was African American and they thought he was Caucasian. That's what it said in like two different police reports. They made a correction in the paper and they changed like the race in the correction, which was weird. Like, how do you not know? But
That's
also
weird.
Long fingers that were abnormally long, like twice as long as a human's, and 5 trepanation holes like on his head, almost like, yeah, like in the picture you could see it a little bit, the holes on his forehead.
This is from Brian's book, y'all. This is from Montauk Is Strange, Brian's textbook that he made. Look at those fingers. Look at them fingers.
Yeah. He looks like he has some cuts or something too, but I'm not sure.
I said fingers. Yes, I did, y'all.
Those fingers could, yeah.
Those are not chicken fingers. That's not human. I mean, I have pretty big hands, okay, but I have normal hands. Okay?
Yeah, that's like
I've seen I've seen a lot of, listen, something that's real popular right now are like women getting their fingernails made really long, like go get the fake nails and stuff. I don't do fake nails. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't stand the feeling of them. And plus they break the second I got them. I do too much work in the dirt. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I bet that
and
probably
stuff.
should do it.
Yeah, it's not not
Did you
something
see
I
the
can't.
old Guinness Book of World Records back in the day
Yes.
with the people with like the crazy like curl? Yeah, 5
That
foot
was
long
always
nails.
gross. You have to wonder,
Yeah,
like,
like how did they do anything?
how do you take care of your bodily functions? I don't know. I just wonder. I've
That was
always
my
wondered.
first question. Yeah,
Yes. Well,
they had to hire help or
okay.
something.
Yeah, it's weird.
So those are
Um,
fingers, though. Those are like,
those are
you know,
those are phalanges.
inhumanly. Yeah,
Phalanges.
those are
Yeah.
phalanges and metacarpals and all that. They said, I think they said the toes were also long, but they were focused on the fingers. There was like that was in the newspaper report, and the holes they tried to brush over in the newspaper report. I mean, the newspaper story, they kind of like mentioned these holes casually, like drilled in his head. Like, wait, go back. Like, why are there like holes? Don't you think that's weird? Aren't you going to like elaborate? But this story was so strange. I think I still have the original newspaper stories. I just couldn't. This picture was so hard to get. I have the original somewhere, and I couldn't find it when I was trying to make this book. So instead, I searched on Google, and all you can find is this tiny little thumbnail, which I couldn't blow up. So I remembered I had a piece of it from a WordPress blog website, and then I was looking for like his bottom half. And Jesse Ventura's show had a show on Plum Island once, so I went on there and I found like the other piece, so I could put them back together and like print it and share it with everybody. But I do have the original somewhere. But yeah, I'd love to find this in somewhere in the public record so everybody could like get the original, because it's got to be out there somewhere in like archives or there wasn't just one newspaper locally. It was like a bunch of newspapers websites that had this online, this story. So I think even like some of the big New York City papers and stuff like that covered this or had it in there, like the New York Post or Daily News, one of those. So I mean, it was out there. It's just it kind of got forgotten over the years that this happened. I think it was like 2010. I got to check.
2010. Yes,
Yeah,
I remember seeing
back.
2010.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago when this happened. They
No.
said he was wearing clothes.
Yeah. He had like jeans on, like blue jeans, which is weird. But nothing. I don't think he had anything else. Just like jeans and holes and long fingers. So yeah, it's so strange. And like all these, you talk about the Montauk Monster, you hear that all the time, but you never hear about this guy. And to me, this should be like very well known about, at least more than it is. It's not very. It's kind of looked over. So that was
it's
my job.
Very looked over. And the fact that you were able to dig through, you were so resourceful.
Thank you.
You found it. You found Jesse Ventura's, clip on it. That's wild. That's wild. I mean, he put it out there, but I'd never heard of this ever before until, it's in your book. We found it in your book here. And
yeah, that's like, figure that's why I kind of put it all together, just because I would forget like all these details and aspects. So it's kind of like to keep it in order, even for myself. Like if I'm looking back, it's kind of like packaging up. I'm trying to compress all these boxes of stuff I have into like maybe 1 or 2 big volumes that I could like share with everybody. That was the idea. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for that, because it wasn't easy to get even off Jesse Ventura's show. Like I had to record the screen and then like, taking it to Photoshop and try to match them up. And it took me hours, is all I'm saying. But It was so worth it though, because I wanted to see that again. And being that I couldn't find it, I was like going nuts looking for the original. So I'm going to find the original now after all that, I'm sure, which would be good.
So did you say that they put this original drawing in the newspapers back then?
It was in like, say there was like 10 newspaper articles about it. It was in like 2 or 3 of those newspapers. And 1 or 2 was definitely a local one, probably like the Suffolk Times. That's like, or like, there's some East End newspapers out here, like the East Hampton Press or the Southampton Press, or there's one for the town that Plum Island is in called Southold. So I think it was definitely in that one. So I'm going to have to look. And actually, I know people now at the newspapers that actually want to go out exploring. So I'm pretty sure I could get to the archives. And I just forgot to like ask this guy. So you just give me the idea to ask him to find the original article at least.
When I say you're resourceful, you are resourceful. Okay. And it's always good. It's always good to make friends with people that are other fellow researchers and people that work at the newspaper office. Those are researchers right there. They're going to dig. They're going to make sure they get the facts.
Yeah.
If they're a credible news source, okay. I'm not saying that it's obviously not. Well, I'm not going to say, okay. But yeah, it's especially just like small town newspapers and stuff. They're going to make sure they get the facts straight. Before they publish something, for sure. I wanted to touch on the holes in the head a little bit, because it was this person, let's just call it him, a person, was about 6 feet tall, I believe.
Yeah, really tall.
Around 6 feet tall. Not like a giant, but
not like a giant, just above average,
a little above average for a human.
Yeah.
And I brought a gentleman on the show a while back, about a year ago, he calls himself Dr. Wu. And he is a retired Army vet or military vet who was an anthropologist who started working at the Smithsonian, the Smithsonian.
Wow.
And he had access to the giant skeletons.
Oh, man.
And he said that he had actually handled the bones before, and he found something very, very odd about all of them. Wow. He said that all of the bones, the skulls, had holes in them. Okay.
Wow.
And I brought him on my show. I thought we were going to like break some kind of, we're going to break the case wide open. They were all executed or something.
Yeah, they weren't.
That's what I was thinking, but that's not what it was.
They were drilled.
Probably drilled. Yeah. Wow. But he didn't know. He had not thoroughly examined them. But he said that he just noticed that, I don't know if all of them had the holes or most of them.
Wow.
But a lot of them had holes in the skull, he said.
That's interesting. Like, it's usually to like relieve pressure, It was like an ancient, I know that it was in like some of the Ayurvedic stuff, like ancient India's, books on medicine. And they first discussed trepanation that I know of in like regular, academia, they say India. But this is obviously way older than that. It's amazing, all those articles they used to talk about the giant skeletons all around the U.S. in like the San Francisco paper, the Chicago Tribune, the LA, like they had every day, like major newspapers would cover these skeletons until like the 1930s. So I found like this thread where they had all these links, and I got like 120 of those articles from around the U.S. of like these giant skeletons in like every state. And like, a lot of them were with Native Americans when they were found, but a lot of them, I've heard of the holes in that, the trepanation or projectile holes before in their heads. But I think it was on a show once too, that they said they were so smooth that like, if it was a drill, it was even more advanced than like our drills. Like maybe it was heat or a laser. So they didn't even know like how the drills were accomplished in those, as far as I remember. So that's fascinating. And now this guy has them. So who knows what's going on, but I feel like there's more of him, not just him. For some reason, I feel like he's just like the lucky one that got out or something. Like he got free and got out there. I mean,
he was the brave one that made an escape. Maybe. I mean, this would make a great remote viewing target.
Oh yeah. That's one I was.
Well, don't tell me. Okay.
I know I can't know. Yeah.
I don't know my targets. They're all blind, but I'm just saying, wink, wink. If you ever wanted to throw me some numbers, throw me a bunch of
sneak in the location with a bunch.
I'll never know what you're sending me, but I'm just saying this would make a really good one. Okay?
Yeah, I'll make it more like a blind target for you.
Yes,
and then
yes, for sure.
You won't know when it's. I'll mix it.
I would love it. Just send me some numbers sometime. I won't know what you're sending me.
Yeah, because there's other things too I want to ask.
I would like to have that one right there one day, or even if I could send that to my team. I got a team of remote viewers. I'm sure awesome. There may be a couple of them watching in the chat. I don't know. There may be a couple watching, and that would be something that would be really interesting for the team to look into one day.
That'd be so cool. I actually hid a symbol in 3 spots in the book that I was hoping people could remote view. I printed a symbol, and I was going to put that in an envelope and ask people to view it, I guess. Or I'll ask you how to go about doing that best. But there is something in there in 3 spots that I was going to hope to link to it one day and try to figure out a little more on, so more info on that topic. So.
Okay, perfect. I can't wait to do this.
Cool.
Uncaged Savage, yes. I was actually just thinking about this. I've been to the Etowah Mounds before in Mulgi. I can't remember going there, but I know where they are in Georgia. And I actually was planning on going to the Etowah Mounds last Friday, and then I didn't end up getting out there. So I do have a trip planned to go back to the Etowah Mounds. I want to go, shoot a segment out there and talk about the history behind the Etowah Indian Mounds out there. And the last time I went, I met up with some friends of mine who were doing some grid work all over the South, all over the country, really, going from Indian Mound to Indian Mound, kind of tracing ley
That's
lines.
amazing. Wow.
Yeah. And
That's
connecting
so cool.
all the Indian mounds and stuff. So, yeah, we're out here. We're out here in these streets trying to figure out the mysteries of the world,
That's
and
incredible.
and the true history behind these mounds.
Yeah.
And things like this is I would assume, where Montauk is, that's sacred land.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. There's a native like a Native American history behind that land. And I see right down here in this corner, what are those artifacts that were found at Camp Hero, or what is that?
Yeah, so that's the symbol for that's Turtle Island, basically, where some people think Turtle Hill is one of the original Turtle Island candidates, but that's another thing. Then this here is actual Thunderbird artifact found in Sabonic, which is very close to where I live, and it's basically this was I never knew about Thunderbirds on Long Island. I never heard of a Thunderbird here ever. And then I see this, they found this artifact. So I guess the native people were talking about Thunderbirds here, which is just incredible to me. And then this one next to it is even more interesting. That's this one here, the little figure that looks like a gray alien. That's a wooden statue called an idol. They carved the shamans of the local tribe, the Shinnecock tribe. That was their sachems. That's the medicine men, the sachems. They call this an idol, but it was who they talked to for guidance. They were like these short little spirit star people, and they would tell them, like they call them, they give them all kinds of information and guidance, which was just crazy to read. I saw this picture, I was like, oh my god, that's like a little gray alien. And next to that is Lamb, Crowley's lamb that he summoned in Manhattan, and he looks very similar, likewise like a small gray alien, kind of more human face. Aleister Crowley came to Montauk right after he summoned Lamb in Manhattan. He escaped to Montauk and hung out there for the summer in 1918, I think it was. And he wrote it in his book and everything that Montauk was his favorite place in the world. And he was on a mountain climbing expedition there. And like, what mountains could he be climbing except for the bluffs? There's one place called Montauk Mountain, which people think is an ancient earth pyramid. And it's actually a park now, but I've never been there. That's one place I want to go. It's a really high point. But other than that, he was out there, and the year before, Tesla and Marconi, a couple of years before, were out there because Marconi had a big thing next to the lighthouse, a big antenna for radio experiments, and Tesla was there giving him advice on how to fix it up better. Even though they were competitors, they were still friends in radio and other things. So yeah, all these guys were out there in like 2 years' time, which is crazy. Major people. So. In this all, so you have to wonder what they all did and if they passed each other at one point, or so many things have crossed my mind knowing all these people who've been out there. But yeah, that's the Native American shamans' idols, which is just interesting too. And I never knew any of this stuff until I started digging into some of this for the book. So now I can never unknow
well,
it.
if Aleister Crowley was out there, there's definitely some magic involved. Okay,
Yeah,
definitely some kind of black magic. And even today, we hear about, especially with the secret space program, survivors and stuff, we hear about the high levels of Satanism that happen that are going on in our military even today. Okay?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
And the magic. Actually, Caleb Jade, who's in the chat right now, Caleb, I've done a show with Caleb before, and he's fantastic, dynamic gentleman, and is former military, I don't know.
Cool.
Very mysterious Caleb. Okay. And, but he has talked about the high levels of magic that he was involved with in the military.
Yeah, there was like a lot in the original Montauk books, like they'd spell it Magick, and like Jack Parsons Laboratory, JPL, was like a big part of that. But then you go into like stuff that's been documented in newspapers, like Michael Aquino in the 80s, working in the Presidio after the Montauk was shut down. Actually, the same years, it was the same exact bunker at Montauk, the big 16-inch gun bunkers, that he was basically set up some kind of operation. And he was like the high priest or something, and there was documented in all the papers, and instead they just sent him to another city, gave him a raise. They didn't kick him out or anything. And yeah, so it's been, and Montauk has its own kind of other magical stuff going on from other groups. And I've even found a blog online where they were arguing with each other about certain rituals that weren't done right, and they were like fighting over this. And I'm like, so there's a lot going on that we don't see in our circles. And I think people just flock to Montauk, all different kinds of people for different reasons, that too. So it's like you're getting everything when you go there. I like to go in the winter. Unless you go in the winter, then maybe you'll get like absolutely nobody, which is cool too.
Less people. You can sneak in easier. No, I'm just kidding.
You can get there fast if you're driving. You don't have to wait like 4 hours in traffic.
Yeah. Well, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and thank you for that super sticker. Yes, thank you. Nice. I love my Saturday night show, man. We get a great audience here, and wonderful guests, man. Wonderful co-hosts and guests, and it's always a party, man. If you guys don't have anything better to do, y'all always come over to my channel, please. We're always hitting on the hot topics over here for sure. With the best people. But we had such a good time over there, and some people with us might have gotten in a little bit of trouble when they were there, going maybe walking past a fence they shouldn't have done. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't get any trouble. I didn't. I knew to stay away. From some stuff, but you actually have do you have a working relationship with people that work there? Do you know people there? Okay.
No, I did know actually somebody who was involved, who was like on shows with me, but never told anybody that he worked there for like 20 years. He led me into this building that nobody's ever been in there and stuff like that. And he told me to go talk to the superintendent of the park. So I did, but he said, don't mention anything about UFOs, aliens, Stranger Things, nothing, because he hates that stuff. So I went in there and talked history with him for like an hour. I was looking at he's got cameras. I was checking out the cameras. We talked about history, but I didn't mention anything. It was kind of like me interviewing him in a way, because I had questions that I wanted to ask and things I wanted to check out. So like, I don't mind going and then, they have watched my channel, and they have, they notice us. So like, I try to be a little careful, but also back when they did chase us, back when we were kids in the 90s, it was totally illegal. I have us getting arrested on tape too, and that's on our videos and channels. And that's, we got arrested coming out of the bunkers for trespassing, and that was on TV too. They put that on TV on two different shows. So it's
Montauk's Most Wanted.
I actually became friends with the guy who gave me the ticket years later. He was there on another show. They were interviewing him, state police, and I became friends with him. I said, hey, you gave us a ticket once. He's like, sorry about that. I had to. It was no big deal. But the point is, they used to chase you around, and now it's like, I don't even think they would ticket you anymore, but you still don't want to get caught by them.
They would.
They would, yeah.
We've got to tell the story real quick about what happened with the security guard that came and busted everybody. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But first I want to thank Milo McDonald. Thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here tonight. You've been putting some great comments up in the chat tonight, so I really appreciate it. And so I wanted to talk about the security guard, because at some point we were at the radar tower. We went and got our kind of took pictures in front of the fence. Okay. Yep. And so we were there, and some of us kind of stayed back, and, we did our own thing. And then some people kind of decided to go and explore a little bit. Yep. And some of us saw that was a really bad idea, because there were a lot of people there. So we kind of went our own direction back to the truck. Okay. Yep. Because we were just feeling like it wasn't a good idea. And so the next thing we know, a car pulls up. It was security. Yep. Okay. It was security. And there were a bunch of people inside the fence, and, I know it was terrible, but they were inside the fence. And so we were just kind of sitting back waiting. And we ended up walking up to the security guard, from the truck. He saw that we clearly were not in the radar tower. Okay. We were coming up from the parking lot. Yep. And it was really weird, because I saw an older gentleman who was white, Caucasian, with long hair, and it was pulled back or something. I just remember him having long hair and like maybe a mustache or something. Mm-hmm. And we got back to the house later. Nobody got any tickets. Nobody got in trouble. It was just a slap on the wrist. Y'all get out of here.
Yeah.
half the people saw a African American gentleman. And it
That's-
wasn't like a Caucasian, like a light skinned African American man. It was like a darker skinned African American man, but that's not what I saw. Literally half of us saw a white guy, and the other half of us saw a black gentleman.
You literally described the old pair of security guards that used to chase us, and I documented 5 other people, them chasing, like another author of a book, KB Wells. He wrote the Montauk Files, and then the original authors like Preston and Peter Moon actually have their books signed by the judge that took them to trial. And but then 3 other people, John Quinn, Newshawk, the Stealth Skater, who was like this old blogs from the internet, and then Amy from your channel here, our friend Amy from Montauk.
Yeah,
she also knows the same guy that got us and used to chase us. We call him the Mustache Man, which is crazy. You just said
the mustache.
Yeah,
he had a mustache.
He's the guy on the video arresting us, but he was in charge of the police. So
he's who I saw.
Yeah, he used to tell the police
there.
what to do. And the guy who gave me the ticket was a African American state trooper. And
well, the other half
friends with.
Okay, and so isn't that weird that I saw the white guy?
Just like the 2.
Half of us saw him, and the other half saw the other guy, but it was the same person there. But we were all having a different experience. It was so flippin' weird. It was one of the weirdest things that I experienced the entire trip.
Because that pair chased people for years, just those 2 for some reason at Montauk.
Really?
Yeah, and
you must not have been there with them.
I was in there with you guys, and we got out, and then I went to go. My car had broken down in Camp Hero that day, and you guys got me fluid, so I was walking over to put the fluid in, and I missed all that. But I saw the cop coming up. Yeah. Well, I never go there at the end of the day because they come there and they always park there at the end of the day, in front of the fence there.
Pro tip: if anybody wants to go to Montauk, y'all listen.
It's probably my fault. I should have said something before I went and put the fluids in, but
no, it's okay. We knew. Me and the LAB knew better. We knew better. Yeah. We stayed back, but half of us did. We had a divided experience with who we were interacting with.
That is bizarre.
Literally half of us. We took a poll. Like we raised our hands. Like, who saw the white guy? Who saw the black guy?
Wow,
and it was half and half.
That's so strange that it sounds exactly like the 2 that used to be. It's almost like time was you were like seeing another time or something. But whatever it is, it's Montauk and typical experience.
Yeah, maybe half of us were on one timeline and the others on another, and we kind of converged right there at that moment.
Something definitely in perception was going on, seeing different things to begin with.
Maybe he was not real at all. Maybe he was like a hologram.
You never know inside that fence there what's going on.
Yeah, that's right.
Stranger things have happened.
That's why, stranger things, y'all. Y'all hear that? Stranger things. Skip Bassford, thank you so much. Or is it Baseford or Bassford? Skip, thank you so much. You're the best. Thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate your support so much. You're so sweet. It just didn't make any sense. It really didn't. Everybody gets a ticket. No, we did not get tickets. Nobody got a ticket. Thank goodness. Right. I just turned on my Southern charm. I'm just kidding. We went in there at midnight once with some friends from Arizona. We were giving them like a tour, and we went to take star. She had like astronomy cameras, so we're going to take star trails in front of the radar. But the state trooper was sitting there, so we pulled up and he had his lights on us. So we're like, "Oh man!" And I tried to talk to him. I was like, "Do you mind if we take some pictures in front of the radar?" He's like, "Nope, you got to go." I was like, "How about like down by the bluffs?" I was like, "Can we park there?" He's like, "You got to go." I was like, "How about over here?" And he's like, "Get out of here, come on." I was like, at that point, he was getting annoyed with me keep asking. So I was like, "All right, 3 times, it's time to go." I thought he'd be like a little laid back. I was trying to joke with him a little, but it wasn't working. But it was right before Halloween, so maybe it's because of Halloween. I'm sure people are, but Halloween would be cool at Camp Hero. I mean, it would be.
That would be.
The energies would be good. I mean, the energies, it's when the veil is the thinnest.
That's right. That's going to be very interesting there that night. But
yes. I like this word, skin changer. You said that because I always have to be careful about saying the SW word.
Yeah.
And so I like this one better. Can I say this one more than 3 times? That's the question. What are the rules?
I use that all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got Eric in the chat. Eric knows. Edie Testerman. Eric, can I say this word 3 times without getting in trouble? Okay.
Oh, we actually talked about that, Sovereign. Yep. We were talking about using that instead.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's a great, and to think about the guard being one of those. Boy, wouldn't that be something?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, another
Shifter.
element.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Because there's some other things to Camp Hero too that don't quite match, like, Junior's descriptions, like this tall shadow that runs around. So who knows? I think there's a couple things. It's like at the kitchen sink, Camp Hero has a little bit of everything.
It has a little bit of everything. And
Yeah.
thank you, Eric. He thinks I'm okay. Okay, we're okay.
I think so.
Skin changer. That's what I'm gonna start saying from here on out. If I can remember what to say it. I get anxiety when I have to talk about S walkers because I'm just like, I can't say it, and then I say it by accident too many times, and then I get everybody upset, and then it's just the anxiety gets bad, and then I'm worried at night before I go to bed what's gonna come and get me, so gotta be careful.
Warned us.
Okay.
They've continuously warned us not to say it over and over, and then I guess it's so popular topic, we keep saying it. So yeah, it's good to make a replacement.
Yeah.
Take away the anxiety.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been a fantastic show, Brian. This is just awesome. Do you ever, can you go to Plum Island? That's one of my next questions. Can you just go there? Could the average Joe like get on a boat and ride over to Plum Island?
No, there's a special ferry there just for Plum Island. Like there's one for the public, and then there's a special ferry that you can't even like get into the parking lot without going through a guard booth. But they are you can go though, but it takes jumping through some hoops. And I actually put in my book, there's a military history, and I put not just all the weapons and radars that were ever at Camp Hero in history, but I also included Fort Terry, which is Plum Island. So the ingredients to go there, if you were to go apply for a tour, are in the book. Like you would just have to learn the military history of Plum Island, because that's where they'd let you on Plum Island. If you know the military history and you want to go there to see the old like World War II stuff and World War I trenches, you can actually go there for that reason, and then look around and do what you can while you're there. But yeah, and birding was another thing, but they don't do that anymore. So now it's just military birding. So like you could get there. That's right. Yeah. I don't know why you want to see any birds on that island.
I'm here to see the chickadees. Okay.
Like,
don't mind me. I'm just over here looking for the cardinals. Okay.
Yeah. The cardinals that are covered in ticks and ready to fly out of here.
I know.
Yeah, so I'd like to get on there because I'll give it a try and see if I could go check out the old military stuff there. I mean, it's worth a try, but I think that's the only way possible. They are moving the lab to like Manhattan, Kansas, like the home of the beef industry, which is crazy. And I know Homeland Security took it over at one point, but I don't know if they still have the property. So I haven't kept up on the news, and they're always changing it. It's been going on for years. They've been trying to figure out what to do with that place. So we'll see. But until then, it seems like stuff is still happening there. Who knows?
It does. It seems like the Plum Island facility would still be active today. Montauk Camp Hero is questionable. Everything is worn down and dilapidated and flooded. It's not likely that anything that used to be functioning there is functioning today. However, there could be something further underground potentially. I mean, I was watching something the other day, and I think it was I got Brad Olson is coming on the show, y'all. He'll be here next week. Okay, and he's my resident expert on Antarctica.
That's awesome.
And a fantastic dude. So he has not been on my channel yet. So we got Brad Olson coming on Wednesday, everybody. Wow. So y'all better come back and see that. But I was listening to something that he was talking about on one of his shows or a video. He was being interviewed. They're talking about the DUMs, the deep underground military bases. And there's so many, it's like 10 kilometers below, the surface.
Yeah.
10 kilometers. What the heck?
Yeah.
That's deep.
Those tunnel drilling machines are incredible. And there's even one that like fused the tunnel walls and like made it into slag, so they didn't have to like dump. I think it was a patent for it, like the Air Force made it back in the day. But yeah, they can do anything. And just,
oh man, it's deep down in there. I mean, I don't know. When I was at Montauk, I was not thinking it would be that far down in whatever kind of facility stuff they had going on down there. But It's 10 or 6. It's either 10 or 16 kilometers, or 10 to 16 or something like that. Wow. It was crazy. And of course, I go by miles because I'm from the U.S. Okay, I don't usually go by kilometers, but they were talking about kilometers. So
yeah, it's less than a mile. So I mean, I guess it's probably like
still,
7 miles.
Deep.
Yeah, that is
still deep. 7 miles. I mean, just a mile. That's deep.
I mean, a mile. Yeah, that's just 1,000 feet is pretty deep. I mean, you go 2 levels underground. That feels pretty deep when you're down there.
Yeah.
Like if anybody's claustrophobic, I mean, they're not. I went in some caves and stuff, like upstate New York, like the Daredevil cave, where I was like the only one in my family that would go through, and I went with some strangers through. But there's a little, you can squeeze through this little hole, and you're down there. You can't go backwards. You just got to go forwards. So that stuff's pretty crazy. How many caves there are in the U.S. and they almost they all connect.
I went when my son was really little. I took him to it was like Ruby Falls or something. It was like somewhere up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Wow. And you could go into a cave, and you get on an elevator, and it takes you underground into this cave system, and it was not fun. It was beautiful once we got down there, but it seemed like we were going down forever. And they had glass or plastic plexiglass sides, and you could see just your descent basically in front of you going down. And it was a tight squeeze there, and I was very claustrophobic, and I it was not enjoyable for me whatsoever having my kid. I just kept thinking, oh my God, what if it breaks? Like what if we get stuck?
It's legitimate.
And it wasn't even that far down though. And to me, it just seemed like we were going down forever. So I just compare it in my mind to that experience that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Just way down there.
That's good. Yeah, there's a couple upstate where there's a river. I went to a couple in Pennsylvania, but there's one that you take a boat and you ride through a river and through the cave. I think that was Howe Caverns. I'm not sure, but it's fascinating down there. But you like I said, if you're claustrophobic, you want to get out. That's why when we went in Montauk in those tunnels as a kid, I wasn't really scared then, but like now that I know the dangers of the air, like the bad air down there, like you really need a scuba tank if you're going to go in any of those old tunnels. It's plus they're filled with things that are alive down there. Who knows? There's even some crocodiles in New York City at one, albino crocs in the sewers. So people would flush them. They used to get them as pets. Yeah, people used to get them as pets in a crate. They would ship them in a crate, and then they would, when they got too big to keep as a pet, they would flush them, and then they'd live in the sewers. So this is like a whole rumor thing too, but yeah. But
you see that
think
movie
of it, Montauk,
growing up?
Story. I did see.
I
did see. I don't remember.
There was an alligator movie. I don't remember the name of that movie, but it was about a kid that got a pet alligator and flushed it down the toilet, and it terrorized people in the sewers.
Yes, I do remember that. And Chud was another one. The underground tunnel monsters. Chud. You ever see that one?
Chud, yes.
Yeah.
I actually looked into Chud. I was like, are these cryptids? I actually looked into that one day. I don't know.
Yeah, wonder where it came from. They seem to make sense.
It seems to. Nothing makes sense anymore, though.
Weren't they from a government, like an underground base in that movie?
I don't know. I don't remember, but we can go back and check it out. I bet somebody in the chat might know.
And I recently rewatched They Live, and I forgot there was an underground base in They Live as well at the end when they go in.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of forgot that because I always focus on the beginning and the shades and the billboards and.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of them in movies, popular culture. Deep underground base.
They've been doing some soft disclosure for quite a while now.
Exactly, that's a good way to say it.
What's up, Daryl? I see you in this chat. This is my old school. This is an old school friend right here. Nice. Hey, Daryl. I would not doubt it. He says he had an alligator. I hope you didn't flush it down the toilet. Okay. I could see you having an alligator. When I met Daryl, he always had tropical fish tanks and stuff. So
nice.
One of my ATL buddies right here
awesome.
Had an alligator. Of all people that I'm friends with, you would have had an alligator. I'm just saying. So Let's see what other kind of comments we got here before we go tonight. This has been a wonderful chat tonight. We've had a wonderful chat between you and I. We've had a wonderful live chat. And let's see, Chud in LA, Monk says. Okay. Was Chud based out of LA? Is that where they were based out of?
They're in LA, yep.
Yeah. Listen, great documentary about cave diving called Dave's Not Coming Back. Oh my God. Is that real? I don't know. That's wild. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is the acronym for CHUD, Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers.
Ah, yes.
Thank you, Kent.
That rings a bell. Awesome.
That sounds horrible. That sounds just absolutely horrible. If you needed a reason not to go into underground dwellings and caves, it's this.
I'm pretty sure the Metallica song, "The Things That Should Not Be," is based off of that movie too. Just remember that little factoid.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild. Oh, Maureen's got it too here. Cannibalistic human dwellers. I mean, that's also a great way to keep people out of the underground systems too, is to put out movies like that to scare everybody.
Oh yeah.
Put it in the subconscious of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. People won't be going in tunnels.
Yeah. Just like those ticks. It's a good deterrent.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the ticks at Montauk and stuff, like,
Pennywise is a pretty good one too.
Pennywise?
Yeah. Also to keep you out of the sewers.
Exactly.
Keep you out of the tunnels.
You'll float too. That's right. There's a lot of things that have been pumped, a lot of fear pumped into us over the years with stuff. And, and like I said earlier, there's real monsters in this world. And there's things that have been made that I feel bad even calling some of these creations that people, these experiments, they're monsters. People, we would consider them monsters because we don't understand them, but really it's just really sad. A lot of the stuff that's being created out there, it's stuff that, shouldn't be, I guess you could say. Stuff that, what do you call it, an abomination, I guess. I mean, I hate saying that. It's just really sad.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, because you don't know like how that thing really is, like besides its outward appearance. Almost like the person who created it is more of an actual monster, but then again, you don't know how that being is going to react. Is it going to like dive at me and like, does it even think of those things? So yeah, it's tough.
Yes. They're all beings, though. That's right. No matter if it's, cloned, chimera, whatever. I don't know. It's still. I mean, I want to say they've all got a soul. Okay, whatever it is. So it's just very sad, and that really kind of broke my heart when you said, that guy with the long fingers escaped. Like he made it out of there when there's probably more. Like that's your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Is that there's more out there.
Yeah, well, maybe he gave them hope, to he's successful. You try this, and they'll learn and get better and break out more.
That would make
that'd be the positive side of it. He taught them something. Whoever's left behind, if they are.
That would make a great screenplay, right there.
Awesome. Somebody make it. I'll watch it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you say
anybody to write. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if I had time, I would write it. I swear. Like that's George and his buddies that were created in a lab. One of them finally got out. It's almost like Finding Nemo or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
hybrid man.
It's a good version of the story
on his journey, the journey of the hybrid man down there. Oh man, I know. Well, you're putting a human like emotion to it.
Yeah.
So that's it. It changes the story a little bit. It's like, what is this dude doing with these long fingers at Plum Island? Okay.
Yep. And he's part human, so I guess that kind of works perfectly if he did that. Yeah. So I would watch that movie.
I'd watch it. I'd read the book.
I'd be cheering him on. Get out of there.
I would totally read that too. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Lord have mercy.
Somebody will make it by next week now that you've said it on.
I know, right? Somebody's going to come up with that now. Y'all just give me a little credit in the back there. Be like, I got some inspo from the Cryptid Huntress and Brian Minnick of Montauk Is Strange. I know. We've got to we need to plug your book because you had put your blood, your sweat, your tears into this creation, this book that you've made. And it is just fascinating. All the documents, the paperwork, you have the receipts. on Montauk.
Yeah.
You do, right?
Yeah, definitely. I do. I'm trying to share them with everybody, but I still have more to share for sure. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
I mean, the print copy is like a coffee table book. That's the only place to get that is at BookBaby. That's the publisher for now. I'll do like print on demand global one day, but if you want the actual print copy, you could only get it at bookbaby.com. And you could get the ebook anywhere, like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Apple, any of those places that have ebooks. All of them. I think there's like 40 or 50. And yeah, that's it. Basically everything is Montauk Is Strange. So like if you wanted to email me, it's montaucisstrange@gmail.com, or like look at our pictures. It's Montauk Is Strange with underscores at Instagram. There's a Facebook page. I focus on the YouTube videos and the book and everything. So if you just type in Montauk Strange, you'll find me somehow or another, basically, if you want to get in touch.
Yes.
But that's about it.
I have all the links are in the description box. Okay, underneath the video. So you guys go. The book baby's down there. I think you can get your books at Barnes and Noble too, right?
Oh yeah,
Barnes and Noble. Okay.
Well, the physical book you can't order from Barnes and Noble, but there's like a local one that carries my books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, you can still get the ebook pretty much anywhere though, like Barnes and Noble included.
Oh, and all of my moderators have been really blasting out all your links throughout the entire show tonight too.
Thank you. I have not.
Thank you to the moderators. Yeah.
Yeah, very much. Thank you.
Yeah. So you have a YouTube channel too. All of your adventures that you have documented and put onto video format are on your YouTube channel. That's Montauk Is Strange on YouTube. Y'all please go subscribe. It's fantastic. And you're not just out there by yourself too. You got Danielle out there with you, and you partner up with some of your buddies like Long Island Bigfoot and Dark Hour Paranormal. And all sorts of people, right?
Yeah, as much as we can. And we get out there as much as we can together. And we take, we've gone with strangers and friends alike. Awesome. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Gerald.
Thank you, Gerald.
I have a membership that I always forget to mention. It's like you can join it for 99 cents or $2.99. It's like the same content, depending on whether or not you feel like helping a little extra or just it's 99 cents for everybody though. And it's just extra videos, extra pictures, some stuff that I can't show like in the public facing open to the public, certain things will be back there, being a little more discerning with some things. And I'll try to make it more content for people that do join. I'll go out of my way to make extra stuff for you guys. Yeah. So yeah, that's more of the same. I'm looking forward to doing this more and sharing what I find. Keep going.
Oh my gosh. Well, please come back and hang out with us again.
Thank you. I'd love to.
This is always fun. I mean, I knew that we had a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. I really wanted to dig into the cryptids, your experience that you just had with that thing that jumped off the roof, and this weird, poor little alien hybrid looking dude with the long fingers too.
Yeah.
And, boy, you just pulled at my heartstrings with that one tonight. With them potentially getting out. But that's true. I mean,
yeah, I'm glad we figured it. Thought about that part of it.
It could be.
I didn't think of it before either.
Yeah.
So
could have been trying to fighting for his life to get out of there.
Yeah. It's more to. Sometimes I keep thinking about something until have to visualize it, like you said. So
yeah, man.
But, yeah.
That's wild.
That's
so
wild.
It is. Well, if you guys, y'all please go give Brian your support. You are one of the hardest working boots on the ground field researchers, and it's so nice. It's so fantastic that you're really focused in on that area of Montauk and just preserving the history of it. You're a historian and just an active researcher of it, and you're still going there even to this day. And yeah, so I hope I can get back up there with you sometime. And,
we have to do that one day. Yeah, soon. I love
for
that.
sure. Yeah, we got some stuff planned. I know Long Island Bigfoot and I were talking about that the other day. So
yeah, he always gets us motivated and talking to each other about doing these things. So
yeah,
looking forward to that.
Well, heck yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Brian. And Montauk Is Strange, y'all. Of course, you're welcome here anytime. You have an open invite. Okay, you really do.
So nice, thank you.
For sure. You guys be sure to please go get Brian's book. it's Christmas time. Do yourself a favor and get yourself a nice coffee. You said coffee. I love your accent. I know I got an accent. Coffee table book. Get
It's
you a
hard to
coffee
break the
table.
habit. Yeah.
It's
Long
I'll give you
Island.
a topic. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll give you a topic. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay. With your book, Montauk Is Strange. And it's fantastic. The Montauk project happened there based off of Everybody Knows Stranger Things. Brian has the true story behind what Stranger Things is based off of, and it's all in this book. Please go get your copy today, and be sure to subscribe to Montauk Is Strange on YouTube and all over social media. And yeah, fantastic. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Yes.
Yeah,
thank
I can't
you,
thank
Brian.
you enough. You got it. Anytime.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, tell Danielle I said what's up. And
I will.
Everybody, have a wonderful night, y'all. Please stay safe out there. We know that there's a lot of weird stuff in this world and a lot of crazy things going on. But just keep your vibrations high, just like Jane says with Chiro sounds. Be sure you keep your Oh, that's the wrong. Hey, Bob, you too. Thank you. Keep your vibrations high, and don't live in fear. Okay, y'all don't live in fear. We do have weird stuff out there, but just like we said tonight, they have feelings too and stuff. Okay, and some things can't help what they were created as and stuff too. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's true. And so just keep your head on a swivel. Okay. And watch for falling objects from the sky, Brian.
Yes, I
with things that are jumping down at you. Okay. And I also wanted to thank everybody who came over from Dogman Encounters tonight. I saw Vic was sending people over. I had talked with Vic Cundiff on the phone today, and Vic told me that at the end of his show, he insisted on, he was like, I'm going to tell everybody to come over to your channel. So he obviously did. That's awesome. Because I saw some people saying that Vic sent them. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope you guys will subscribe to the channel too. And everybody like the videos and share them out tonight. And come back and see me on Monday. And I have some fantastic guests lined up for the next 2 weeks through Christmas. I've got some just mind-blowing guests. We're going to have some mind-blowing shows. And Vic Cundiff is one of those guests. He'll be here in about a week and a half. He'll be on the show. So,
cool. I'll be here.
So awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Again.
Okay, everybody. Everybody have a wonderful night. Thank you guys for all the super stickers and for all of the support. And thank you to all my channel members, my Patreon members, my moderators, and all of y'all. Okay. Y'all have a great night, and we will see y'all on Monday. Bye, Brian. Bye, y'all.